Coming up on Mountain News at 6, we'll have the very latest from Martin County, where a building collapse at an old mine site trapped 2 men. And we hear from the woman who was shot while driving on Interstate 75 recently in Rockcastle County.
Plus, it's a cold start to November, but some above average weather is on the way later this week. Your forecast coming up as Mountain News at 6 starts now.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
We continue to follow the situation out of Martin County, where 2 men were trapped inside a building after it collapsed. Officials say one is dead and they are unsure about the other, but they have not gotten to either yet in their rescue operation. This is what the scene looks like from the air, just devastating. It's been compared even to ground zero after the 9/11 attacks. Governor Andy Beshear declared a state of emergency early today. WYMT's Chandler Wilcox joins us now live from near the scene with the very latest. Chandler?
Thank you, Steve. Officials say that first responders will be working here every hour until the operation is successful. Crews have been working for almost a whole day and will continue overnight. They have deployed multiple tactics in their rescue efforts.
We're in under that structure, and we're just trying to search all the voids with cameras, listening devices, just trying to see if we can get any idea.
While responders are working through the rubble, the American Red Cross is providing food for them.
We are set up around the actual impact site, and we are actually canteening for the first responders, and we will stay here until that the operation's finished.
Is that just kind of any? Officials say that they are going to have another update at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. We will continue to update either on the web or on air, wherever we can, whenever we learn more. Steve, that's all we have right now. Back to you.
All right, Chandler Wilcox, thank you. And we should mention we are not allowed at the site. Chandler's about as close as we can get. But as you saw from above earlier, it is a devastating sight. Martin County Judge Executive Lon Lafferty said that building that collapsed was almost 130 feet high. Agencies from across the state are at the scene in Martin County. One of them is the Lexington Fire Department. The fire department has a handful of specialists who work on special operations and are trained for structural collapses. Captain Chris Rudd says some of the personnel sent to Martin County have more than 25 years of experience training nonstop and dedicated to their job.
We pulled out of here a couple years ago on the candle factory. You know, a huge building. When I left here that morning, we had 108 people missing. So it's the same team, and if we send another wave of people, it will be people that operated in Mayfield and at the floodings in eastern Kentucky.
Rudd added, when it comes to their own safety, the firefighters will go above and beyond to help others. Lots of reaction to what's happened in Martin County today from lawmakers. Here's part of what Senator Philip Wheeler, who represents the 31st District in that area, had to say about the incident. Quote, "Please join my family as we pray for the safe rescue of the hardworking Kentuckians and the safety of the dedicated and courageous rescue teams tirelessly working to save them." This statement came out before we learned of the one fatality. The General Assembly and I are closely monitoring the situation. We are prepared to assist those affected by loss or injury and their families and the local government in any way we can. You can see the entire statement from Senator Wheeler on our website at WYMT.com. There have certainly been some devastating events involving coal mines through the years in Kentucky, and here are some of the biggest ones to happen in the mountains. In 1970, 38 people were killed after an explosion at the Finley mine on Hurricane Creek in Leslie County. 6 years later, 26 people lost their lives after a series of blasts at the Scotia mine in Letcher County. No one was killed in another Martin County incident back in 2000, but a spill from a waste containment pond polluted more than 100 miles of creeks, streams, and rivers running through Kentucky and West Virginia. And finally, 5 people were killed in the Darby mine disaster in Harlan County back in 2006.
Well, we are tracking some cold weather across the mountains into this evening. Here's a live look right now from the London Corbin Airport, and you can see we are dry, also sunny, but we are well below average. That current temperature right now at 45 degrees. Most of us in the middle to lower 40s and a few upper 30s starting to show up now in Southwest Virginia, down to 36 in Wise and 39 over in Clintwood, 45 in London, 43 for Jackson, also Hazard at this hour. Up on the radar, we are dry, and again, more dry weather is on the way as we go into tonight. We stay dry, also clear, and that will allow those temperatures to tumble into the middle and upper 20s as you wake up on Thursday. So once again, a hard freeze is likely as we go into tonight, but some improvements are on the way. Some 50s on Thursday, some 60s for Friday, also the weekend. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Cameron, thank you. In Laurel County, officials with the sheriff's office say a man who had went missing is now considered armed and dangerous. Deputies say 39-year-old William D. Reagan went missing this morning in the area of Slate Lick Church Road, about 2 miles east of London. Deputies say Reagan reportedly had a machete on him when he broke into a home off Spring Cut Road near Rocky Branch Road. If you have any information about where he is, you should contact the sheriff's office at 606-864-6600. She was simply driving on the interstate, going to a work assignment out of state, when gunfire rang out and she realized she was shot. That happened to a Georgia woman in southern Kentucky on the night of October 17th. She is still recovering while police investigate and try to determine why it happened. WYMT's Phil Pendleton spoke to the victim and has more on what took place in Rockcastle County.
Erica Ponder has a lot of questions as to what happened to her and what was going on around her while she was driving north on Interstate 75 the night of October 17th.
Especially not being from Kentucky, and then it just happens out of nowhere.
Ponder says she was driving to Pennsylvania when she heard a boom, then looked down in horror to discover she had been shot.
The bullet came through my passenger door. It entered my right thigh, went through, came out, entered my left leg, my left thigh, and it was lodged right below my knee.
The Rockcastle County Sheriff told me the day after this happened that they did believe that the perpetrator was driving another car. They say they are still investigating and asking for people's help if they saw or knew of something that night, but as of now, there is nothing new to release. Ponder says she was treated for a day and a half, but recovering mentally and physically has been tough.
I'm walking better. At first, I was walking with a walker. So now I am walking independently, but I have no feeling in my right thigh, so it's numb.
Despite all of that, she feels blessed.
Thank God for being able to still be here with my family, and it really has changed my perspective on a lot of on life overall. But your life can change in the blink of an eye.
Ponder says she is a travel CNA and was traveling for work when this happened, but she says she has not been able to return to work just yet. In Rockcastle County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Ponder tells us she was told the bullet was a 9mm. The Rockcastle County Sheriff says they are expecting more test results next week. FEMA has approved nearly $19 million in federal funding for the Kentucky Division of Emergency Management. The funding will be used to remove debris deposited by severe storms, flooding, landslides, and mudslides that occurred last summer. The Kentucky Department of Education used the data from Kentucky schools' annual test scores to rate them. Schools are rated anywhere from 1 to 5, and based on that number, they are also assigned a color. Between the elementary, middle, and high school rankings, 14 schools from the southern and eastern Kentucky region made the list. The principal of the number 4 ranked elementary school, Burning Springs in Clay County, says their atmosphere is what makes students want to succeed.
Everything is very student-centered and student-focused. But again, we are truly a close-knit group. We hang out together, but we also know when it's to be serious. But most of the time when people come to this building, they say, oh my gosh, I can just feel it. You can feel the love and the success we have in this building.
In the elementary school rankings, schools in eastern Kentucky hold the top 4 spots. WYMT's Madison Carmouche will have more from 2 principals tonight at 11. The campaigning continues for both candidates for governor with less than a week to go before Election Day. Governor Andy Beshear and Attorney General Daniel Cameron are both on bus tours, making stops throughout Kentucky. Cameron made a stop in Shepherdsville this morning. He was joined by Arkansas Governors Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Kelly Paul, and Riley Gaines. Governor Beshear made multiple stops in Danville, Lebanon, and Bardstown. And we want to remind you, early voting for Kentuckians begins tomorrow and runs through Saturday. If you cannot make it to the polls next Tuesday, you can go to an early voting location to cast your ballot. Now, locations are different compared to what they are on Election Day. There are a lot fewer in most cases. Every registered voter is eligible for early voting. Now, you can go to this website, govote.ky.gov, for more information on where early voting will take place in your county. Officials with the Secretary of State tell us Michael Adams will be voting early tomorrow. Well, we now know the funeral arrangements for a Letcher County firefighter who died earlier this week. The visitation for Joe Back will be on Friday, beginning at 6 p.m. at First Baptist Church in Whitesburg. The funeral is set for Saturday at 1 p.m. also at the church. Back was the Whitesburg Fire Department's assistant chief. He was 59 years old.
Well, we are tracking a stretch of dry weather to continue into this weekend, all thanks to high pressure. That forecast on the way after this break.